Welcome to this month's edition of The Breeze. This month, we're going to tackle a fairly touchy subject, and that is the subject of parenting. And it's also not only how you parented, but how you were parented and what the situation is now. And part of that has to do with the fact that some of us find ourselves in what they call the sandwich generation. That would be. Now, what is the sandwich generation?
Well, for me, I'm like a not a Whopper. What's that other McDonald's? With
Big
the,
Mac?
Big Mac, yeah. I'm sandwiched between, I have a mom, and then there's me, and then I have my husband's children, and then they have children. So I got a multi-big burger there.
Sounds like a club sandwich to me. How about you, Margie? Are you in that situation? Or?
No, I'm in the top of the sandwich right now. My parents are both gone.
Well, I am too, but Tina, tell us about some of the issues that could arise. I mean, evidently your mother's in pretty good health and she's independent, but we've talked to a lot of people, and what kind of issues arise?
Well, one thing is my mother lives in Los Angeles in a high-rise downtown in the Bunker Hill district. And the problem is that she loves her lifestyle, going to the theater.
Doesn't sound like a problem.
No, right now it's not a problem. But the thing is, if I try to move her to South Carolina, good Lord, it's like, I'm not coming to South Carolina. Why do I want to come there? Unless I've lost my mind, I'm not coming. So don't even think about it. So that's a big issue.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably one of the major issues is the aging process. We're all in that sort of segment there. Many of us have lost our parents, but there are still the issues of what responsibilities do you feel, and on the other hand, what guilt do you feel about taking care of mom and or dad?
Well, I got some guilt, not to monopolize, but it's like she has a village there that's helping her grocery shop, fix meals or whatever. And sometimes I feel a little remiss because she's 3,000 miles away and there's nothing I really can do other than say thank you to the village and check in on her and see that she's okay. She does text, by the way.
Good for her.
So unlike some people, she does have a little IT literacy.
I'll take that as a shot. Now,
I didn't mention any names.
how about you, Margie?
Well,
what situations are you aware of or that you've anecdotally heard about?
Well, I know in families, if a parent requires care, which my mother did and was in a facility in North Carolina, my younger sister happened to live in that city. I was footloose and fancy-free in her estimation in another state. So it fell on her, and I still hear not so subtle comments now and then. But I'll tell you what that did. It really forced me to look at what's going to happen with me and what do I want to happen and try to set up some things ahead of time.
But before we get there, let me ask you this. You say that you were footloose and fancy-free, and that's caused a few comments. Now, isn't that really a huge issue, is that some of your siblings, I know you don't have siblings, right? But you do, and that sibling may, in fact, really deeply resent the fact that she's responsible and you're not.
Yes, that's correct. And I may have felt the same way if the tables were turned. I don't know that. But I, in the meantime, would feel guilt that I wasn't getting there often enough to see my parents. So it's kind of a no-win, I think.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just one of those things in life that you just kind of have to
accept.
muster the best you can.
Yeah.
I will tell you that it helps to communicate.
Very much so. Yeah, either in writing or just during usual conversation. And there are many opportunities for that. I don't think there's any real good excuse for not having conversations like this.
Do you ever get any pushback from the kids that they really don't want to hear about your problems?
My problems?
Or your issues or your plans? Or
Well, I don't share a whole lot. Now, my daughter is not my girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a very fine line, what she does know about me, what she doesn't know about me, and therefore what I need to know about her too. I have to kind of put that through a filter and say, okay, is that going to really make her mad, or should I not even be asking this? Is it any of my business? You kind of
Right.
have to find this line that you walk, I think, with adult kids.
I think you have to have a conversation too, with my mom about her lifestyle. I want her to have a good quality of life. So one of the things that I'm trying to encourage her to do, and by the way, I'm going to visit her this summer, is to downsize. I think that's important because she's got some beautiful things, but she's got too much. And I said I'd like to see in her apartment. She's got a new apartment. Her move some things out so you can really see the things she has. She'll call me and say, "Oh, you remember, the armoire that I have, blah, 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 blah." I said, no, because she's got all this furniture. And I said, take that,
She did a pretty good job.
go to one of those estate places where they can give you a good price and do that. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to come and look at it and go, that's not something that I want. Why don't you sell it and use the money to go to dinner or do something different,
Well, have you ever experienced situations where you have done something and you have taken a position or made a life decision that has actually not infuriated but angered your parent or angered your mom or dad, and to the point where it creates a huge issue?
No,
No?
I haven't.
I think, though, that when my husband passed, that my mother, when she came to visit, she has these perceptions of what my financial situation is. And so it's kind of like a cat and mouse game. If I buy something or do something, I have this hesitancy to say, "Oh, you know what I just did?" or "You know what I just bought? I bought a trike, by the way. I'm going to be out there going around on my new tricycle." But, I didn't dare tell her how, what I spent for it,
Why not?
because then she thinks I have some money.
Oh, okay. All right, it all comes out now.
Yeah, it comes down to the dollar. And,
Yeah.
and what I'm trying to do is let her know that I'm trying to enjoy my lifestyle like it is, as being in that sandwich generation. That if she needs something, that, I'm there for her. But when I come out to LA, we're not going to dinner and all these other places on my dollar.
Okay.
We'll do some things.
All right. Well, that's very interesting because it's interesting to me that when I go out with my kids, for example, and they're in their 30s and they're married and they have good situations and they're not, millionaires, but they're doing well. And then we'll go out and the dinner bill comes. And I automatically reach for
looking
my
at you.
wallet,
Yeah.
and they're not looking at me necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Many, many times that my son has said in particular, "Dad, all the money you spent on me growing up, I want to pay a little back."
Oh, that's kind of nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice to hear, especially at Jack's Meat House in where it's all a la carte.
But wouldn't you have been happy to have known that in the beginning, so you might have ordered something different?
No, I ordered the same anyway. But I guess my point is you pass along certain ideas about things, and sometimes it just doesn't matter who's making what gesture as long as you know they're being mindful. And there were many, many times that I bought dinner for my mother, and I wouldn't let her pay for a thing after I got a few bucks. And she never expected it. It wasn't something that she expected necessarily. But it made me feel good because of all she'd done for me.
But then that brings on that issue of entitlement.
Entitlement.
I think my mother feels a certain amount of entitlement, and she doesn't know how to say no in the sense of, "I'm not going to do that." It's more like, "Oh, let's go, let's buy."
Yeah, I got it. Well, let's change the topic a little bit. Just say now, how directive are you, Margie? How involved are you in your child's life?
Well, my daughter lives in Savannah, so we have lots of opportunity to see each other on the phone, still do a lot of texting. Not every day.
Not every day.
We know that we're not each other's best friend. That's never been a part of growing up. I think I grew up My parents weren't my best friend. And with Melanie, we've kind of just gone down a parallel road, but it's been very comfortable. Am I curious about certain things? Yeah. Would I ask certain things? No. And sometimes, you just have to kind of,
Zip it.
that's
Zip,
really
yeah.
none of my business. I learned early, you need to keep your own space. And you even have to keep some of your business. She doesn't know my whole life. I'll never know hers.
Yeah.
And I can't problem solve for her unless she asks. If she says, Mom, what would you do? I'm ready. But if she doesn't ask that or mentions a situation in her family that I think, oh boy, I have some good advice for that, I think, no, she's not, let's wait, It's so easy though to jump in and want to take care of things.
Well, distance has really hurt me because, I do have a stepson, and he's out in Cali, and I'm going to go see them.
Cali?
Yeah, California.
Oh,
Yeah, they call it affectionately Cali.
okay.
But I'm going out to see them, and unfortunately not able to spend as much time as I would like because they're cruising, they're doing things. But he looks like a photocopy of his dad. And I really have enjoyed our conversations. He's a teacher, and one of my concerns, him being a teacher, are some of the things that he's had to endure over the past year. And he said in education, he went back to public school teaching, and this has been a very difficult year. So we had a nice conversation as to what that meant.
Well, you ever get to the point, either of you, and I certainly have, where you say, look, you're just down the wrong path here. You got to do things different. Now, here's what you got to do. And try to jump in and fix things.
Oh, no.
How's that work for you?
No.
Oh, I must have learned that it doesn't because I don't do it anymore anyway. How about you?
No. Well, we're all guilty of that at some time, but you hear these horror stories where every day, have you called that person?
my
You
gosh.
call your son or your daughter and say, have you called that person? Have you pursued that opportunity? Where were you last night? I tried to get you. That's
No.
My mom does that to me, though.
that's one way to get your kids to
man.
hate you.
Yeah.
My mother, I'll take the train, I'll get home, walking in the house. Where are you? Give me a chance to get in the house. So I'll text her and say, I'm home. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm home. But she does that. Well, so-and-so and so-and-so has been sick. You need to send her a card.
Whoa, stop right there. Don't tell me what to do.
Well,
You know what I mean?
she's 89 and she feels that I got to listen. So I just go, oh, okay.
Well, why does she feel you got to listen?
Because she's the mom, and no matter how old you are, you're still your parents' child.
But I guess that's my point, is that, if you have to, and I'll use the word endure that situation, then, why don't you step out of that situation?
My mom is 89, and I've learned she ain't gonna change.
Yeah.
So you
okay.
have to work
I
around
agree.
it.
I agree.
Work around it and just smile or say, yeah, that's a great idea, and just go on to the next subject.
Yeah.
So that's how I've learned to accommodate
You
the
just give her a
comment.
little lip service and move on.
Move on, yeah. And I'm multitasking while I'm talking to her. Yeah, brother, if you see this, I'm multitasking. I'm on the computer, I'm on the phone doing stuff, and listening to her tell me, well, you remember so-and-so? And you're going like, no.
Well, we actually went out on the street during our question and answer period and talked to some people about the question of how do you deal with your children and how can you get them to hate you? Kind of a weird way to put it, but we got some interesting answers. Hey, we're with Bob and Ann outside Perrysburg on a beautiful, beautiful day. And Bob, you've got adult children, and how do you get them to not hate you? I mean, there's a lot of strife sometimes.
We give a lot of attention and a lot of money to the grandchildren, and they love it.
We may use just that. But are there ways you can tick your children off so that they somehow become estranged, or have you heard of situations?
Oh, yeah, sure. I've heard of situations, but, we're loving parents and they're loving children. So, knock on wood, we haven't had any problems like that. We love our kids and they love us. And they get down here occasionally. We go up more frequently. And we've taken them on cruises. family cruises and rented a house in the summer.
Turks and Caicos.
We went down to beaches in Turks and Caicos, spent a fortune on them. So they're indebted to us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's wonderful to hear, and we're glad you stopped by and talked to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care now. Have a nice day.
You have adult children, and sometimes we kiddingly say you can find ways to make your children hate you. How do you avoid that?
Well, one thing, when you don't live real close to them, I think that's a benefit in one way. Yes, because you're not into their everyday lives. They have their own separate lives. You don't know what they're doing every minute, which I think is very good. It makes a child more independent. I think it's good for them. Once I was married, I have never lived near my parents, never lived near them. So I was used to not having children and parents right under, at my doorstep all the time.
So you are not a helicopter parent now, and your parents weren't helicopter parents. Hovering over you.
No, absolutely not. No, we got married, we made our own way, and we didn't have anyone to help with the children. It was just us. We lived 200 miles away, and then we moved even farther after that. So, we were on our own. We had to stand on our own 2 feet, and my children are independent, and I'm proud of them. They've done very well, and I don't think I've interfered that much in their lives. And
Well, that's probably a great thing.
yes, and you know what? They don't want your opinion anyway. And if you tell them, I don't think they're going to listen. It's probably like I am. You can give your opinion, but I choose what I do.
Right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, and continued good luck.
Well, thank you.
We're back, and I will tell you that that AARP magazine came up with an article on how to get your kids to hate you, and they listed several instances, some of which we've alluded to. One of which is what we were just talking about: invade their lives. Don't respect boundaries. Track your children's movements, right?
Yep.
My mom does that.
Yep.
Part of it has to do with your desire to stay in command.
Be a parent, right?
Be a parent. Not just be a parent.
How about being an adult?
Stay in command of their lives because they're children. That's not parenting necessarily. It's just a self-centered, in my view, self-centered desire to stay in control.
Well, and if your main role has been parent, which it is with our kids, but it ain't no more, it is hard to let that go. Because we still think we probably have an edge of knowing best. We've had more experience. We may have tried it and failed.
Yeah.
But sometimes maybe we just have to step back and say, if they fail, they're going to learn from that. We all had to
That's
take that
correct.
road.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I had said in another show is that some win, some learn.
Yeah. It's hard though. But I just think if we're not asked for advice, it's probably better just to kind of say, well, I'm going to pray about that. That's all I can do. Because even to hint at it, have you thought about, have you tried? Well, this is what I would do. It's like,
Put up
Shut
that wall.
down. Yeah.
yeah,
that
and
wall.
I would have probably put up that wall with my parents if that had gone on. So, you have to stay conscious of this though.
Have you prepared for the day, or maybe it's already occurred, when your adult children know more than you do about a certain thing?
Oh, I expect.
I've never consciously thought about that.
Well, it's already happened with iPhones and when I go
Well,
to.
forget technology.
Okay,
That's
technology.
To
Okay.
me, that's a given. They're always going to know more.
Oh,
Especially with him.
Yeah, I mean, a 6-year-old
Yeah.
knows more than I do, so
I like what they know. They're bright. I think they're bright. They're much brighter than I am. I have to work at things. A lot of things come more naturally, and maybe it's because they're traveling the road that's meant for them. I don't know, but it's. And I'm not really worried about them. They're going to do just fine with or without me. Certainly, in days, the year to whenever that happens. But even now, I think they enjoy having me here. We have a lot of good family times, but if they move again, well, I can't answer that.
If they
but
move again.
but it's
yeah.
not to be a parent. It's to be a interested, not parent, but
I can see
hopefully
the
not
trailer in
intrusive.
front of her house now.
yeah. Yeah.
And they'll say, Margie, where are you going now?
But you know, in this article, there were just a lot of good things that really were really good things to remember. That we cannot second guess our kids' decisions. One of the things was give conditionally. We give them a gift card or something, and then we say, "Well, I'd like you to spend it on."
Right.
Oh, no.
Right.
Okay, time to wind
Can't do
down.
that.
Or you make a gift or a loan to them and then say, basically, you can't go out to dinner at that steakhouse now because I gave you that loan.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
these are some things we can talk about some more. But yeah, there's a great list in the AARP magazine with Kathy Lee on the cover. Don't miss it. But in addition, our friend Larry Kilkoff is here today to offer his thoughts in his segment entitled Out of My Mind. Larry?
This month's Breeze topic has to do with parenting issues. I don't have any. I never had children. I was a stepdad to two teenagers briefly, but their mom didn't believe in anything remotely resembling discipline, certainly not of my variety. No matter what prohibited behavior the kids committed, the mother's answer was to ground them for a period of days or weeks. That effectively meant nothing more than that they and their friends had ample time to select what movie they wanted to go see that very evening after successfully winning their release in a grossly inappropriate premature parole hearing. Last I heard, he and his older sister have somehow turned into fine, upstanding adults, and I give them all the credit. They deserve it. The recent AARP article which sparked this month's discussion between Doug, Margie, and Tina also spoke of parents who struggle with a fair distribution of their estate holdings among competitive and not always congenial sibling rivals. The family dynamics are often complicated. Not so in the Kilkoff family. Mom and Dad never had it so easy. I was an only child. Writing me out of their wills took a mere stroke of the pen. So I'm not sure what I'm doing here this month. I don't feel like I have a lot of expertise in this nuclear familial dilemma, but I will share two decisions which my parents made prior to their passing. One not so good and the other decidedly more insightful and compassionate. My father invested in a small lot of these collectibles, $1 denomination silver certificates actually minted in .999 pure silver. I've actually seen these valued at anywhere from $20 to $75 a piece, which makes the 20 or so I have on hand a good start on a nice meal for me and my friends out at some better area restaurants. But something far less than the return he probably hoped he might realize when he purchased them some 30 or 40 years ago. Fortunately, he did have a diversified investment portfolio, most of which performed better, or I would not be talking to you right now. On the good side of the ledger, both Mom and Dad had prepaid funeral plans, which brought enormous comfort to me in making my mother's final arrangements when she was the last to pass away a year ago this coming July. There was very little to do, and you'd have to have known my mom to understand. The whole affair was designed to impose the least effort and convenience on all who attended. It was as if she was saying, "Thanks for coming, but by all means get back to work before you get in trouble or just return to your regularly scheduled programming." What she was doing was wisely and lovingly buying peace of mind, both hers and mine, years before it would be needed. Mission accomplished. I'm Larry Kilkoff, and if you're on the edge of going out of your mind with regrets and reservations about your upbringing or what your children might be having about theirs, my most heartfelt wish is that you could have been my brother or sister, because then, courtesy of Al and Anna Mae Kilkoff, this is the smile you'd be wearing.
Thanks, Larry, and thank you, ladies, for your thoughts today. Parenting's never been easy, whether it was when they were young or when they're old, and
Right.
especially gets difficult when you have your own parents in the picture. Please join us again next month when we again shoot the breeze.